If you ride gravel in South Florida and you want to start racing, or if you're already racing and you want to improve your preparation, we're going to discuss what it takes to be ready for your next gravel race. Andrew.
We're going to discuss bike setup. We're going to discuss preparation. We're going to discuss day of the race. We're going to discuss equipment being used and everything that you basically need to start racing and enjoy yourself racing gravel in South Florida.
There you go. So roll the intro. Andrew, today we're talking about preparing for a gravel race in South Florida. Okay. I'm going to tell you what I've done, and you tell me if you think that is a good or a bad idea.
Excellent.
Or what can I do, what I could do better in the future. Okay?
I'm good at telling people what to do, so we're good.
It really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to talk about that later.
Yes, I know.
Okay, so the first thing I think is when you're considering racing is you have to decide what is your objective of that race. Do you want to just compete, participate, test yourself? Do you want to win? What is it that you want to accomplish?
Having a strategy before the game even starts.
Right. Even before you have a strategy for the race, set your expectations of what is it that you want to accomplish with a race. In training in general, you always want to have a race. This is the race that you want to go for.
For sure.
You also have a B and C race. These are races that you want to participate, but you're not really killing yourself to win them. Right? It can be like a testing ground. So the first question that I think that we need to answer to the audience is, why do you want to prepare for a race? Okay? And my take is that the result that you get in a race is a function of your training, your preparation, and your execution. So if you do those three things, and you have to add luck.
Yes,
right?
definitely some luck, for sure.
You cannot train for a flat.
No, you cannot, right?
You cannot train for a flat. But those things you have to take into consideration. So my take is that if you want to participate in a race and you have made it a goal that you want to compete and do well, you have to prepare for that race specifically.
Agreed 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Have you done preparation in the past?
I have done preparations for a specific race in the past.
Cool. So when you see what I've done, you can tell me how it compares to what you have done.
How terrible you do and how great that I am. All right, we'll go over that.
Okay, so the other thing about preparation is that eliminates the surprises, or at least minimizes the impact of a surprise. So if you think ahead of the race, what the different things that can happen, right, and you have somewhat of an idea what you would do, is not that is not a block at that moment that makes your brain go in 1,000 different ways. So you can overcome those little challenges during the race, right?
No, I agree.
Okay with that. Okay. So the first thing that I want to talk about in the preparation is the training, right? If you want to compete, if you want to do well, you have to have a level of fitness, and that is,
match what you want to accomplish for your race.
Right. You need to be fit for that particular race.
For whatever. Right.
So we all have different skills. Some people are better at sprinting. Some people are better at endurance or whatever, right? So the first thing that I do is I looked at the location, the topography. We climb and it's all flat. Here in Florida, everything's flat.
Everything's flat.
We don't have to think a lot about that part. But the topography, is it going to be windy? Is it going to be windy? Because if you don't have any trees, anything, it's going to be windy. Right? And the surface, is it rocky, smooth, or whatever?
How many alligators are in the area? So important.
Exactly. Wildlife.
Important. Wildlife is important. For sure.
So then I looked at the overall route of the race, right? And then the distance, right? Because these races, typically a gravel race is a long race. It's not under an hour, right?
Yeah.
It's typically 2, 3, 4 hours.
Sure. 50-ish miles for most of them.
Right. Yeah. So the thing is, people typically, and I was guilty of that when I started riding, I used to focus a lot on FTP, train the FTP, increase your FTP, focus on that. But the issue is that these races, you will never race them at FTP because they're too long, right? So when I was deciding, okay, how am I going to train? I looked at the race and said, okay, I'm not gonna focus on FTP. What I think is more important is endurance, right? And what will help me bridge a gap? or try to establish a gap.
That's exactly it, right? Because when
That-
you're racing, you really can't hold. I'm going to hold 220 watts.
can't.
That you can't. You
Right.
can't hold a power. You know, the front guy goes. You got to cover that attack. You, like you said, attack on your own. There's going to be so much going on in the race. Trying to hold a power is just not going to.
Yeah, I think these races, the gravel races, because of the distance and the surface, it's kind of like an attrition war.
For
People
sure.
start just falling back.
Yeah.
Right? So this is what I did for training. I looked at the race, say, okay, this is what we're going to do. So I figured, okay, I am going to try to improve my 3 and 5 minute power, because that will help me bridge a gap when somebody tries to escape, or if I am getting to the end of the race with a group, I don't have the sprinting power to overcome, in the last couple of 100 yards. So I figure if I have a better 5 minute power, I can try to escape, if you will, at the very end, try to establish a gap and then maintain it. So I didn't have a formal training schedule, but in every ride that we did, and you saw some of this, I used to push myself to do long bouts of endurance power, and then very often pushing very hard for 3 and 5 minutes.
High intensity, 3 to 5 minute intervals.
Right.
Yeah.
That's basically what I did. Okay. If you look at your strengths, what would you have done?
Yeah, so I'm going to have to agree with you. I am not a sprinter, so me getting to the end with anybody is not going to work out for me very well. I'm going to be a guy that's going to have to, like you said, punish the people that I'm with, get out in the front. Just when I pull a little bit harder.
Right.
When, you cover a gap, cover it a little harder, make them discourage from wanting to attack you. They're like, oh, this guy's putting it on us. So that's, when I've done well, that's what I've been able to do. Yeah. And it comes down to training.
Yeah, also about the sprinting, I think I'm not only I don't have a big sprinting power, but also I'm not good at deciding when to go for a sprint.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I'm not. I always go too early.
Yes. How many times have I beaten you going too early?
Most times.
Most times. Thank you.
So because I go too early, that's, I figure, let me just try to kind of win the race on the field.
Before the sprint,
exactly.
Yes.
Right? So my tip number 1 is to train specifically for that race that you're going to be competing at. Look at the topography, look at the distance, look at the surface, and take a good look at your skills and try to maximize what you have and develop a strategy that uses what you have, what you're the best at, and use that to win the race, or to try to win the race.
Seeing if that suits you, that particular race.
Right. Yeah. Welcome back to Domestique. I'm Gonzalo.
I'm Andrew.
And now we're going to talk about the second part of preparing for a gravel race. Now we're going to talk about the bike. So this is what I did. The first thing is I got my bike fitted, because I bought it about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
I never had it fit. So it was okay. I kind of like matched what I had in my other bike. And it was okay, but I knew it wasn't like perfect for me. So I talked to Johnny. You interviewed Johnny.
Did an interview with Johnny, yeah.
Right.
Fantastic guy.
Watch that videos in the Domestique channel. You can watch everything that Johnny tells us about what is the best way to go about a bike fitting. So he helped me fit in my bike. Yeah. He didn't make anything extraordinary, anything like
drastic
big changes. No drastic changes. It was very subtle.
Sometimes that's all it takes is just a little change to make it so much better.
Right. The thing is that you cannot see yourself from the side.
Exactly.
Right. So he's really good at that. So when I tested the bike afterwards, I could feel that the pedaling stroke was smoother. Okay. No places where I had to push more with the front of my legs or the calves or whatever. It was very smooth. So that allowed me to get my sweet spot power or my endurance power, for longer without feeling really a pain in any part of my leg. Right? Yeah. That was the first thing that I did to set my bike.
Yeah, super important.
Right? Yeah. The second thing is I know in these races, because I've done a couple already, you want to be as comfortable as possible in the bike, because after 2.5 hours of however long the race is, you lose power as much from being tired as from being bounced all over the place.
100%. Yeah.
Right. So, given that experience, okay, I want to get the best possible combination of wheel and tire that will give me speed, but also will make me comfortable in the bike for the longest time.
Yeah.
So this is what I did. I tested 2 sets of wheels. You have the other one there.
Other set.
That's a MV G23 with 45 millimeter tire, and this is a MV 3.4 with 40 millimeter tires. Okay? So I went to the place of the race the day before with both sets, and I picked 3 different places, 3 different areas to test.
Sections of the
Right.
race. Yeah.
The beginning, kind of like the inner loop,
Okay.
and then the final straightaway.
All right.
It's not a scientific test,
Totally understand.
but what I did is I captured in my computer the power the average power that I was putting out in that particular section and the speed that I got in that section. And then I brought it back home and put it in a spreadsheet, and these were the results. We're going to put the results on the screen
post them,
so
yeah.
everybody can see them, right? So basically the short of it is that, to my surprise, that wheel set, the one with the wider tires, was faster than the Aero wheel set. I was not expecting that. So the other thing is that not only it was faster, but it was faster by almost 8%, which is significant.
Yeah, significant for sure.
And the other benefit of it was that that set was more comfortable than this set. And I know you told me actually
Yeah.
that rim, the G23s, they're made for gravel, so they have a little bit of give in the rim. And the tire being wider, obviously, it will roll smoother.
It makes it taller as well too. So if you put these two side by side, you can see the difference of the height of the tire. So it is a taller tire.
So what happens is one revolution of that bigger system, right,
Yep,
goes further than one revolution of this system.
that's right.
And
For all you mountain bikers out there, that's the 29er to the 27.5. 29ers roll over 27.5. So this would be more like the 27.5 to the 29er. Not as much, but that kind of.
Yeah, I had no idea of that. The other thing, so I got my bike fitted. I tested the best combination of wheel and tire. And the other thing is I removed everything that was unnecessary from the bike. Normally when we ride in the gravel, you have tools, tubes, CO2 cartridges, valves, everything.
Everything.
Right? In this, for the race, I said, if I get like a big puncture, forget it. That's the end of the race. There's nothing you can do. If it's going to take more than 3-4 minutes, you're out.
Yeah.
So I figured I'm not going to bring anything that will be necessary to repair a big flat like that. I only carried a CO2 with a valve and one of those darts to plug a small hole.
Yeah.
So if that is the problem, I can do that in a minute and keep going. More than that, who cares? So I didn't even carry the saddlebag. I just put those tools tied up in my pocket, and that was it.
Yeah.
Right? And I even removed the water cages. They don't weigh a lot, but I'll tell you why in the next segment.
Okay. Now, for amateur racers, again, you're going to want to bring these things with you. A guy like Gonzalo's competing for the win. He wants to be as light and fast as possible. And again, 2 to 3 minutes for him, it could be the race. For somebody's just out there for their first time race, 2 or 3 minutes is not going to make a difference to you.
Right.
So, yeah.
Keep in mind also when we go on the gravel here, I bring everything.
Everything. Yeah.
We bring bananas, everything.
Everything.
Right. So my second tip for preparing for that race is make sure your bike is comfortable enough for you to be able to pedal strong for as long as necessary. Don't sacrifice, aero or what you think is going to be faster, for comfort.
Yep.
Because you're not going to be able to pedal after an hour and a half.
Yeah, fatigue will destroy you.
Right.
Destroy you, yeah.
Right. So in the next section, we are going to talk about the actual race preparation.
Race preparations. Again, one of the 3 very important things.
Thank you for watching our video. I know the title and the thumbnail says that there are going to be 4 tips. This was just the first part. We're working to edit the second part of the conversation, and we are going to upload that in a couple of days. In the meantime, please subscribe, like, and most importantly, share our channel and the app with the rest of your cycling buddies in South Florida so we can all make South Florida an even better cycling community. I will see you in the next one.